So, happy quarantine. What is it?
Happy quarantine.
This might be wine. Amazing. Hello, I have a unicorn power today.
There you go. Happy birthday.
You? Yes, it is. It's birthday celebration. So I've been totally creeping your Facebook posts and like all your Instagram posts. That's why I was like, I want to because I know a lot of people are home right now and they're stuck like with their kids and they're running out of ideas or like what do they do, how to keep them entertained, those types of things. So
Yeah.
how is your quarantine going?
It's actually not so bad. I think once I took off the pressure of having my child learn active things every day, it kind of made it a little easier. When we have kids at home, the first thing we do is how are they going to learn? How are they going to learn? How are they going to learn? And what we forget is that kids learn through play.
Yes.
And so we as parents just have to take a step back and tap into our own imagination. What did we like to do when we were younger? What did we like to explore? I mean, now's the time. We're not working. We're home. So now's the time to get creative and get silly and do the things that we don't get time to do.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you say that happens a lot. And I notice this a lot just with when I'm coaching adults is that we have forgotten our sense of play and our sense of fun and creativity and imagination. And so I know a lot of people, especially moms when you're home with kids and whether it's a small, 4-year-old, 10-year-old, 6-year-old, doesn't matter. We kind of just all panicked. Like, what do I do? Well, you're still a mom. What were you doing beforehand? So
exactly.
Right. So you have to take a deep breath and you do what you can and they'll catch up when this all blows over. And so like you noted something really important that I think is important for people to hear is when you took the pressure off of yourself. We're not teachers, we're not kindergarten teachers. We're not grade 4 teachers. We don't have that curriculum, but that doesn't mean that we can't help them learn.
Exactly. And when we have the pressure on ourselves to teach, then we take the fun out of it, right? And because you're right, we're not teachers, and a lot of us are trying to kind of calm our anxiety at the same time with all this stuff going on. So it's really about how can I make this fun for everyone, and sort of then remove myself from my anxiety for a little while. Right. So, and it doesn't have to be complicated. I mean, we did everyone was, doing a toilet paper run. We did a dollar store run. Right. And
great.
We just stocked up on, like little toys and, arts and crafts. And it's amazing what you can do with toilet paper rolls and a ball. There's lots you can do. Well,
I seen I think it was on Facebook, one of your videos of where she was fishing in this little bucket. so tell me about that.
Okay, so that was all from the dollar store. We bought a giant bucket from the dollar store, and they have these fishing sets. And so we just put the fish in the bucket, filled it with water, and she fished for like an hour. It was fantastic. I mean, I had 2 cups of hot coffee at that moment, so that was great.
So for a couple bucks, you got yourself an hour that she can easily
go back
to and play again.
Yeah, I'm all about what can my kid do while I have a moment to myself. I mean, I love playing with them. I love being active with them, but I also need time for me. And when you're quarantined with your kids, there's not a lot of time for you. So it's about finding activities that they can do on their own and that they like doing. So like, for example, today we took all of her toys and I set up this toy wash. And, it was a bucket, a sponge, and she had a ball cleaning her toys, not realizing she was actually doing a chore. And it took an hour. It was fantastic.
Well, especially with everything now, always having to clean everything. So the more active and involved that she can get in, and it's a game and it's fun, and they don't actually know that she's helping, like you said.
Exactly.
It's a lot of things with one stone. So.
And it's good because we're home that we can get creative. I encourage parents, even if you're cleaning the house, put a sock puppet on your kid's hand and be like, okay, let's see who can eat the most dust, and go around and have them dust it with a sock or something. Just think outside the box. What would be fun for you, but also be productive? Right?
What kind of things have you, because I know you have the infants.
I do.
A very active toddler. So how has that been?
Well, I don't sleep, which is fantastic. um, but it's been good. So I think the good thing about being quarantined with an infant is you don't have the guilt of not taking them out because they don't really know the difference right now. Whereas with my preschooler, she'll ask active questions. Why can't I go out? And why can't I go to school? And so we do get out for walks, which is almost a daily thing. We try just to get some fresh air. But with the infant, it's more just, he doesn't sit up or anything. He just sort of lays around. So it's just about playing with toys, Yeah.
How has it been explaining that to your young daughter? Because she's 4, 5.
She's almost 4.
4.
Yeah.
4.
I think we actually terrified her. So she asked me why she couldn't go out. And I said, well, there's this big germ and it's kind of roaming around. And until people can figure out how to trap the germ, we can't really go out. And so now when we go for a walk, she's like, Mommy, what if the germ's coming? What if the germ's coming? So I have to kind of tell her, no, like the big germ's not going to get you here. Mommy and Daddy are going to keep you safe. It's about washing our hands and being hygienic. But now I think she's a little bit scared about this big germ. So it's been hard to explain to her, but we just said, right now we can't go out, but that doesn't mean we can't do other things. And, I know she misses going out with her friends. We were very active before this happened. We were out every day. So it has been different. But I think if we can make home fun and if we can kind of manage our stress a little, then they don't think that it's something really serious, because they don't really need to know how serious it is right now. They just need to know that it's important to wash their hands. It's our job to know how serious it is, right? We want to kind of keep that from little kids.
Yeah. And so what kind of things have you been doing besides fishing in the bucket? So I know a lot of parents are kind of struggling right now with they can only do so many crafts. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Oh God. Crafts. Yes. So if you have toilet paper rolls at home, then I would encourage you set up the toilet paper rolls on the ground, like sort of like bowling pins, and you can bowl with them. Or she has a bunch of those blocks, and so I started writing out words on the blocks.
Okay.
And then on the single blocks, I wrote letters, and she had to kind of make the words. So we learned spelling, which was fun.
Yeah.
And then there's a really time-consuming activity from the dollar store. It's this stone, and you put it in water for a little while, and then you take it and you chisel away at it, and it'll reveal a toy. It is infuriating, but they love it. But my most fun things are things that don't involve anything. So we lay a blanket out on the carpet, and we'll lay on our backs, and we'll imagine that there's clouds in the sky, and what kind of shapes do we see, and we'll pretend to find shapes in the sky, which is so much fun. And then one that I just thought today that we're going to try is a home scavenger hunt. So you say, okay, I want you to find me 3 things that start with an A, and you can, maybe put an apple out or something random, and they can go around the room finding things, which is pretty cool.
That's really cool.
So it's just about connecting, like she's a girly girl. We do spa days, which is nice. Cucumbers on our eyes and just hang out. And it's okay to just binge watch TV with your kids if they want to and be in pajamas. We love dance parties. So, first thing in the morning, the music is blasting in our house and we're dancing around the house. So it doesn't have to be complicated. Yeah. And again, it's remove the pressure from yourself to fill each and every moment of their day. Let them have some screen time if needed. Let them find their own imagination or find things to do on their own, and they will. Yeah. Set out some pots and pans. We used to love pots and pans, set out pots and pans and a spoon and be like, have fun, Yeah. We didn't grow up with all of these things, all these toys. We were, sent to the basement with our parents' old clothes and you play dress up, right? So if we can tap into that, why not?
Well, and that's the thing is like, you almost need less things. You don't need to give them a bunch of toys and a bunch of books and a bunch of crafts. Their kids are resourceful, and we don't give them enough credit for if we give them some space, you create the space to be creative. And it's no different than people, you allow yourself the space to be creative, you can invent things. And like, I think it's a perfect example, laying on the blanket and visualizing and imagining and being creative. What better way than to work on visualizing things now at this stage when it's fun and working your brain to think big picture and think outside the box and imagine and see something that you're not actually seeing, because that skill alone, people practice their whole lives trying to implement that in adult
Exactly.
to create
Yeah.
what they want. So that's, I love that.
And you know, it's amazing what they come up with. So we were laying on the floor the other day and she's like, oh, look, mommy, it's a unicorn. And I said, oh, great, that looks like a great unicorn, tell me a little bit about it. Right. And she went on about this unicorn, and then we talked about how there was a monkey and then an ice cream cone, and just random things would pop into her head. And yes, they're not there, but it's, again, tapping into our imagination, you know. And we can also make mundane, or we can make daily activities fun too. So if you know you're going to have to eat lunch anyways, why not have a picnic on your, you know, in your living room? Or why not set up a tent in your living room and eat in the tent? You know, it's now's the time. We have the time now.
Yeah.
Right. So
What do you think has been your biggest struggle right now?
a cabin fever, really. You know, we're so used to going to the library and going to Cafe Au Play and going on play dates and meeting with friends. And even though we're getting outside for walks, it's just not the same. We had to really break apart from our routine, right? So we had a routine before and it was fantastic. It was working for us. And then all of a sudden this thing comes about and it disrupts our routine, you know. Even having my husband home, which is fantastic. He's working from home right now, but again, it shifts our routine. So it's trying to figure out this new normal for a little while.
Well, and we talk about this a lot, you and I, just with, you know, our own livelihood of shifting a line, right? You know, and not focusing on all the things that you can't do in your routine now, and what shifts and what things can you do now to kind of create that new routine. So it's really, really powerful.
And it was easier to exercise, obviously, when I would take them to the gym and they would go to child minding, and now I can't do that. So it's about, how do I get them involved? You know, we do kids yoga, or I set up activities for them in the basement, and then I go work out in the basement while they're doing other activities. It's how do we fit our own time within their time, right?
It's important that you're still taking your time. You're still
working on it,
right? Like you said at the beginning of this conversation, is I think a lot of people, like you said, have put stress on themselves. They have to fill the gap, fill the time, create the game, create the plan. Like, how do I, you know, and granted, some people's kids are older, or they're trying to figure out how do they teach a lesson now. You know, I think it's good to, like you said, you don't necessarily have to have that class structure right now, right? So but
I encourage parents too to kind of, especially if your kids are older, is think back to when we were in school, right? So when we were in school, we learned a lot of science through Bill Nye the Science Guy, or, you know, we learned math through Number Munchers, or, you know, things like social, we learned through Oregon Trail, just weird games like that. So see if you can find those again. It doesn't have to be, here's your lesson plan, you know, we're doing this. They can learn through play. You know, you can learn math through a card game. You can learn science through, you know, maybe have your kids do a science fair at home, right? Let them come up with something. Or if they want to do math, why don't you let them come up with a way to teach you, right? And it just kind of helps them get creative with their own learning, because that's how kids learn best. And we know that, you know, research has shown that everybody learns different. So if we put it into the hands of the kids a little bit, they'll find their way to learn.
Absolutely. And so can you give people, you know, parents, you know, your top 2 pieces of advice in terms of things that they can do with their kids and how they can still maintain your own health while having the extra, you know, I guess the extra pressure and stress of having to be at home with your kids? What would that be?
You know, again, it varies because everyone has different ages of kids, but things you can do with your kids are things that maybe you have always wanted to do, but you didn't have time for. You know, we're busy with work, we're busy with other commitments, and sometimes we think, oh, I would love to just sit and do board games with my kids, but I don't have time. Well, now you do, right? So it doesn't have to be an every day of the week thing. It's pick something that you can do once and sort of build on that. For us, I'm huge on themes, so we have theme days, right? like Wild Wednesday. We've got, Too Cool Tuesdays and Messy Mondays. So we like to have different themes because that gives me a way to form
Yeah,
what I can do with her, right?
kind of structure.
Yeah, and it doesn't have, it's not the whole day. It's not like we're doing arts and crafts the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of our day, right? But we kind of center it, it just gives us a framework to work on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, parents, it's tough out there, especially with quarantine kids. You're stressed, you're tired, you're anxious, you're trying to protect them from that anxiety. So it is tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the biggest piece of advice is just give yourself some leniency and some grace, and don't worry about it. I mean, your kids are going to learn, right? They don't have to have a lesson plan to learn. They're going to find a way to learn, and you can just make it fun for them.
Yeah, I love that. Make sure you take time for yourself, people. I know
Yes.
it's like unrealistic, and that all your time and all your attention now kind of has to be focused on your kids and kids alone because they're home, and and for the most part they're actually like right up in your face because like mom, I'm bored, I want to do something.
Oh yeah.
What are we doing, right? Is that it's when you and I talked about this a lot. We're going to talk about this on our podcast. Is not having the shame and the guilt for taking time for yourself.
Yes.
Right?
And that's huge. And even if you have to take time with yourself when the kids are around, which I actually encourage because it teaches your children some boundaries as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we have moments where it's, you know what, I need to eat breakfast. So yeah, you're going to watch TV if you want to, but I'm going to eat breakfast, and I'm taking that time, and I'm not feeling guilty that my kid is watching TV for that, 15, 20 minutes, because I need time for myself, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or, when you are working out, how can you get them involved? Maybe you set them up with their tablet in the basement, or maybe you set them up with a book or an activity they enjoy, and you do things for you. And that's okay too. Because when they can see you doing stuff for yourself, it almost inspires them and gives them that framework that it is okay to have self-care, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to have every moment of the day full. It's okay to take time for yourself. And that's a good practice to have.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have self-care time at our house. So it's a practice where my daughter can go to her room and play with her toys as she wants. And we do our self-care as we want. And it's a good half hour. And then when the clock dings, we all come back together and do an activity together.
It's amazing.
Right. So it starts young,
Family care. I love it.
Yeah, it starts young, but now's the time, right? So parents, experiment with different things and have fun with it, and get creative, get messy, have wacky hair days at home. Now's the time to enjoy your kids,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well,
It's not going to last very long.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is like this will eventually come to an end. This will eventually blow over. They will be back in full time school for most people, or part time
Mm-hmm.
care or day home or whatever that looks like, right? And so this is a really great, wonderful opportunity to create some really epic moments.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that time when coronavirus hit and we like did this and we had a camp out and we built forts or in the back snowmans or whatever, right? Whatever that looks like for you is. Because this time will come to an end. This too shall pass.
It will.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you kind of want them to go back to school with those memories of, maybe maybe you taught them a cool science experiment, or maybe they did a science fair at home and they can go back to their friends and be like, yeah, this is how I learned science. It's pretty epic. Or, it's okay to bring out your inner child. Nobody's watching. You're stuck at home.
Mm-hmm.
Be silly and have fun. It's okay to have underwear dance parties.
Right?
It's okay to, just be that crazy self that we're not allowed to be out in public, or that that society tells us maybe we should rein it in because you can't have an underwear dance party at work. Right? So
fair, probably frowned upon. So it is really, it is, like you said, it's really important to do the things that you love to do, right? And do them now with your kids when you have the most opportunity to not worry about outside judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all a work in progress on making, getting rid of the negative noise and not listening to people's opinions. But there is now no better time than now to just really do whatever the heck you want, because literally there's not a lot of people that are watching. So,
mm-hmm.
But for those people that are interested, I'm going to tell them to come watch you. I'm going to post your I'll link you into this video. And for any parents out there that want to go and follow Zakhiyya on her Facebook page, well, I highly recommend it. I've seen the most hilarious, cutest kids videos. I'm like, I need to have this conversation to help parents out there that are struggling. And I know that you and I have an upcoming podcast as well, just to talk about mom life and
So excited.
yes, being strong, confident, beautiful, setting a role model, and just your epic tale of then till now. So moms and women all around. So the story will be really valuable to anybody. Go and check her out. Watch her now. There's, like I said, we will be having a really, really kick-ass podcast coming up here probably soon, because now we all have time to record shit.
We have time.
We have time. So you, my lady, might be seen, because I'm going to send everybody to come see you. So for
Love
some
it.
cool, fun crafts and ideas. Like I said, she posts some really cool content, with her kids. Mental positivity, being a leader, being a mom, being strong, fierce, and bold and brave, which is everything that, I talk about and stand for, with the Academy and Warrior Women. So thank you so much for coming on today. I'm sorry.
Thanks for having me. I loved it. And yeah, feel free. Like, if parents have any questions, let me know. I mean, I'm not an expert. We're all doing this together. I firmly believe that it takes a village to raise your kids. So we're all, about idea sharing on how to get through this crazy time. But again, I cannot stress it enough, is enjoy this time, because we have the time to enjoy it. Just be a kid again.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun.
I love it. Okay, well, thank you again. And viewers, go follow. Learn cool, fun kid stuff.
Yeah. All right, guys. Take care.